ladies and gentlemen. Firstly, I would like to thank FPA for giving me and the Advocata Institute for this opportunity to talk about period poverty in Sri Lanka. Discussion on period poverty and the affordability of sanitary napkins have become so vital, especially during an economic crisis, and the country is in the recovery path. And the impact it has caused has trickled down to many avenues, one of them being the period poverty. In 2019, approximately around 2.1 million menstruating women and girls between the ages of 15 to 47 has faced absolute household period poverty. This is approximately around 40% of the total women and girls who are menstruating. Especially due to the impact of the economic crisis with the high cost of living, this number is highly likely to increase, making them victims of period tax. Since there is a gap in research, Advocata Institute conduct a research in terms to understand the current period poverty rate in Sri Lanka. So for this, we use the definition that Oxfam Canada, as they define period poverty as when women and girls cannot afford menstrual hygiene products. Through this calculation, we understand about the affordability of sanitary napkins for menstruating women and girls in Sri Lanka. This is a very simple calculation that we used. We divided the number of households with women of menstruating age which have not spent money on sanitary napkins, and we divided that number by the total number of households with at least one woman of menstruating age. We have used household and income expenditure survey data in the respective years of 2016 and 2019 to do this calculation, and we have also used age cohort between 15 to 47 when we identify the menstruating age. As you can see, in 2016, the country's absolute household period poverty rate was approximately around 50%. This means that around half of the population with menstruating women and girls do not report buying sanitary napkins as part of their household expenditure. But in 2019, this has been improved. This is a clear indicator of the economic stability that the country was facing back in the day. As a result of the economic crisis, the currency depreciated and essentials such as food, electricity, and healthcare expenses skyrocketed. According to a study done by Learn Asia, they found that 4 million people have fallen into poverty in 2023. This means that out of 21 million people in Sri Lanka, 7 million people are living in poverty. So given this context, it's safe to assume that the Sri Lanka's period poverty rate has increased. So this table gives you an idea about how the price has increased compared to 2021. The local products saw a price increase of more than 90%, while the imported products saw an increase of about 30%. As a result of this price increase, one of the local manufacturers introduced a more affordable option for the market, where currently the price of that particular brand is around 150 rupees, which means per pad, a person has to spend around 18.75 rupees. So, in terms of when we talk about poverty, the most important thing that we need to talk about is the affordability. So if we assume that the menstrual cycle of a woman is just lasting for 5 days, and you need 4 pads per day to go through this menstrual cycle, if a person opts for the most cheapest option available in the market, she has to spend around almost 375 rupees per period, which means that is an 4,500 rupee an annual expenditure. But because there are multiple options given in the market, if a person opts to choose one of the local brands, she will be spending around 540 per period. And if the person opts to choose imported brand, that person will be spending around 867 rupees per period, which is an annual expenditure of 10,400 rupees. So, before I start analyzing this chart, I also would like to make a disclaimer. For each of these three brands, we have taken the average price per pad across their varied offerings. Each brand has individual offerings with prices higher or lower than the average price indicated above. When we do the market analysis, what we found out was that there are three main players in the Sri Lanka sanitary napkin market. So two of them are local manufacturers, one of them are imported brand. As you can see in the chart, one of the locally manufactured sanitary napkins average prices are getting closer to the imported prices, imported sanitary napkin prices. This is a reason as to why we need to make the sanitary napkin market more competitive and faster competition. This also will provide a wider choice for the consumer to let them choose the best product which fit them for an affordable price. Why I would like to reiterate the fact that there should be choice and women should be able to choose the sanitary product that they feel best in, the best suitable choice for them, because I would like to also bring a very personal experience here, because I, as a person, can't mostly use even the imported brand, even some of the local brands in Sri Lanka, because I have an allergic reaction. So which means that I am being kind of forced to use one of the offerings that is being produced by one of these local manufacturers. I can safely say the quality is not that good. So that's why we need to foster more competition. You allow more products to be in the market and have more choices for women, that they are allowed to choose the brand and decide what is the most brand and what is the most comfortable particular sanitary napkin that they want to use. Sanitary napkins are more unaffordable due to the taxes imposed on them. Currently, there is around 51.07 taxes imposed on imported sanitary products. So I would also like to mention that this 5.07% is for the total taxes for the total imported sanitary napkin, not for the raw materials. For raw materials, the tax rate is far more lesser. It's just have 18% of VAT. So when we analyze the tax composition of this 51.07%, we see there's 18% of VAT, there's 10% of PAL, and there's 15% of cess. And there's also another 2.5% of SSCL, which is not included in this 51%. So in reality, we are actually paying, an importer has to pay more than 51% of taxes when that person imports sanitary napkins into the country. So this gives us a glimpse of how the history of taxes on menstrual products has been. There are almost 7 tariff changes that have been implemented within 6 years, being the highest tax rate of 101% and the lowest of 25.6%. So I just made the main changes, not the mild changes. So if you actually check, it's more than 7 tariff changes within 6 years. It's like more than 10 actually. So of course, this is not just a sanitary napkin problem. This is a problem in the entire trade system. This is the case for all the imported products that we import into the market. So how does these taxes distort the market? In a market, there are 2 types of taxes. One is border taxes, one is the sales taxes. So sales taxes are faced by both local manufacturers and importers, and border taxes are faced by mainly importers. So when there are high border taxes for local producers, it kind of outlaw price competition from abroad. This allows these firms to price their products above the marginal cost of production without having to worry about other competition, especially like the Sri Lankan sanitary napkin market, where there is an oligopoly. There's only few players in the market producing for the consumer. But this protection for producers come at the cost of higher prices for users of sanitary napkins, as we see the period poverty. So when we do a country comparison, what we understood is that internationally, taxes on menstrual products has been utilized to describe the effects of gender discrimination in financial terms. Many countries have abolished taxes, and Kenya is the first country to abolish taxes, but there are some complications in terms of Kenya. But as a country, they took the first step in terms of going ahead with this policy reform. But other countries like Scotland, Britain, and Namibia has completely abolished menstrual taxes. So you saw the market structure, you saw the taxes on it, you saw how the history of the tariff changes. So what actually prevents Sri Lanka from completely abolishing taxes? So I was able to map down main 3 points. So the first point is, a lot of people say we don't remove all these taxes on sanitary napkins because of the revenue that has been generated through these taxes. But when we compare with the total tax revenue that the government got in 2020 with the revenue generated by the taxes on sanitary napkins, it was a mere amount of 0.0021%, which is like 37 million rupees for 2022. So this is an insignificant revenue, but at what cost? Costing the biological process of a woman. The second point is there are so much of policy inconsistencies. I would also like to highlight this one policy inconsistency that I saw. So there, as you know, there are 7 different tariff regimes that was there within 6 years, and also the important one was this particular 3 total tariff rates. So in 2018, the total tariff rate was 101%, and then it went down to 25.6% back in 2022. So this happened due to the presidential media released a gazette saying the VAT is completely exempted from sanitary napkins, the whole product that they import, and also the raw materials that is being used to produce sanitary napkins. But this improvement was very much short-lived. With the new VAT Act came, they forgot that these sanitary napkins were exempted, and they reintroduced VAT back into sanitary napkins. So which made the total tariff rate went back up to 51.07%. So is the government really unable to remove the taxes on menstrual products, or is there no political will? Because, so we are talking about few para-tariffs. We are talking about 10% of PAL, 15% of cess. So in 2023, the government released a gazette of 261 pages talking about providing preferential rates for PAL, and some of the articles were exempted from paying PAL. There were Sri Lankan Airlines service products, there were clothes, there were weapons, but sanitary napkins was not incorporated. But however, they have incorporated the raw materials that is being imported into the country to produce the local product of sanitary napkins, but the total para-tariffs was not removed for the sanitary napkin. So what can we do? How can we overcome these barriers as a country, as stakeholders, as policymakers, as women, as activists? What we can do? First, the Ministry of Finance should remove all taxes on sanitary napkins, which is 0% PAL, 0% cess, 0% VAT. Not just that, they also have to remove the 18% VAT, which is imposed on the raw materials of the sanitary napkins that is being imported into the country. And there should be also a list of permanent exemptions that the policymakers have to refer back if they are making changes to the current policy system, so that we kind of avert whatever happened between 2023 to 2022. In the short term, until the taxes on sanitary napkins are entirely repealed, we also should be distributing free sanitary napkins to economically disadvantaged families with a particular focus on the school children. And following the repeal, the provision of free sanitary napkins should continue, especially targeting families experiencing poverty. And also, there should, what we also advocate is for the fact that there should be also a policy action group that we see these policy reforms coming into place, and there should be zero taxes on sanitary napkins. So thank you for listening. I hope this will be the last Women's Day that we have to speak about to stop the government from taxing our periods. Thank you.
Thank you, Thathsarani, for that very insightful presentation. We'd like to open it to the floor now. If there are any questions for Thathsarani, the questions can be asked in any preferred language, Sinhala, Tamil, or English, and we have a translator available to translate the questions. So the floor is open now for any questions.
Hi, Thathsarani. I am Rifa Mustafa from the Sinindi Foundation. You said that we actually import raw material to produce the sanitary napkins locally by the foundation, by women groups. But you said there is only an 18% on raw material, but we have about 5 components, and we are taxed CID, PAL, SSL, VAT, and also the export cess.
So for
import cess.
Right. So with because we checked the 2024 tariff schedule, there is a new gazette out in 2023 where they have exempted PAL from paying for raw materials. So there is no PAL. There is an 18% of VAT in it. Yes.
So the comprehensive or the total tax will be just 18%.
18% of VAT.
Of VAT on all components, because we have non-woven fabric.
Yes, so we only looked at 2 materials. For those particular 2 materials only, there is only 18% of VAT.
Okay, because we have 5 components.
Right.
There's gum and release paper also, which is used for other industries.
Right.
So as a result, the taxing takes place, so that we have to advocate for.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Sure. Thank you.
Hi, Thathsarani. Thanks for excellent presentation. I have a couple of technical questions. One is when you talk about the raw materials, the VAT on raw materials, I suppose these are not used only for sanitary napkins. You could clarify, I'm not certain about that. So in that case, that would have some impact on the VAT value chain. You exempting one product and can have something else. So is how to address that in a technical sense, not to say I'm completely for removing VAT from that. That's one. The second one is you mentioned at the end of your presentation, till we bring down the tariff levels, it's good to give this free. Do you think that it would be also good to continue to give this free maybe to the identified families for the most vulnerable in the population for the longer period? Would they be able to afford even after removing the taxes entirely?
Yes. So for the first question, I'm not entirely sure about the fact that whether those particular 2 materials that we looked at is being used for other materials as well. So I will get back to you on that. Second thing, in terms of providing free sanitary napkins, if the government is able to, that I think that will be great, especially because we are also recovering after an economic crisis, and as you know, the poverty rate has gone up. So most of the families, they are more focusing on in terms of school children, providing them with essentials like their books, their pens, the essential stuff, rather than, so there is also an opportunity cost of whether are we going to spend all this money on sanitary napkins or whether are we going to just provide the essentials for the children. So I think if the government is able to, that will be the best option here.
Thank you very much for an excellent presentation. This is a very important topic, and I'm of course looking at it from a post-menopausal point of view. And sanitary pads and adult diapers probably use the same materials. And we have another group of our population which is going to find it difficult to meet these needs, in a sense, adult diapers for biological needs, and we have an aging population. So is it possible to take maybe a wider view just in your recommendations and kind of bring out the implications for another subgroup of the population which is increasing rapidly? In the same vein, there is a huge environmental cost to all this. And I think in some countries, technologically, they have developed other ways, new ways of dealing with it. Is it possible to give tax incentives for people to develop these technologies and reduce the costs to the environment and also to the consumer?
Right. For sure, I will also, when I'm like increasing the scope of this particular policy brief, I will make sure that we incorporate the adult diapers part of it. And in terms of whether we are able to give tax incentives, I don't think I'm the most suitable person to talk about it, because I'm also not from a government point of view. So I think that question can be reached to Dr. Harsha or someone representing the government. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Can I know, because as you said, when period taxes kind of go down, it affects positively to the economy, because more women can contribute to the workforce. Have y'all done any studies as to the percentage of like the forecast of how much it would increase versus the tax revenue, so that it, I don't know, feels like a easier way to convince people that this is the increase to the economy if every woman, not every woman, but like the able-bodied women contribute to the economy versus the tax revenue. Is there any research like that done, or are you planning to do something like that?
We don't have any research done on this particular aspect, but we will incorporate that when we develop, when we expand the scope of this particular research area.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.